Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. It's time for part 2 of my Halloween illustration inking. I'm considering this my Inktober for today, and I really wanted to finish the whole thing. I think if you watched either the recording of the first stream from today, or if you were able to be there while I was drawing it live, you can tell the difference between the way the traced lines were last time and how they are now. So they're actually showing up on the camera this time. Before they were way too light, and I could technically see them, but I was losing confidence quick when I got to this really complicated area over here. So after taking a break, having some lunch, clearing my mind, I guess, getting a fresh start, I came back to this tracing paper that has my sketch on it, or my graphite lines, whichever you want to call it. I went over all the areas again that hadn't transferred well and put yet another layer of graphite and smoothed that on well. And you can tell on this side the parts that I redrew, because now either they look purple or they look blue because I used my blue pen. And I think this was the set of pens that I got in my October Art Snacks box. Not the Inktober box, but the just regular monthly box for October. And having yet another color was useful, because then I could still tell where I had gone over and where I hadn't. So I retraced everything, and I think with the addition of the extra graphite on the back of here, as well as taking as much care as I could to, come on drawing, get up here, to press down hard, I was able to get these much clearer and more defined lines. And I'm going to continue using this piece of scrap board. It was originally a board for mounting photos, so you can see the glue from mounting a photo on here. Anyway, got this nice scrap board so that I don't smear it with my hand as I ink. So I'm gonna get my ink tools out again. I left this ink out. It's probably dried a little bit. I don't know if it's even dried enough to merit another dropper full, but just in case it really did evaporate that much. Add a little bit more ink. Get that off to the side. So I'm still going to use this really small inking nib. I think it's called a Maru pen. Anyway, it's nice and small for these little grass lines, because this one, which I generally prefer because of the cool tapering you can get on the end of each line, it was just too thick of lines. So you can see where I used it on this grass, and just the tip of the grass is all black, and that's no good. I need it to be as sharp a point as possible. So for the grass, I'm gonna keep using this little tiny one, because it makes nice small lines. The only thing here is where I didn't finish this one piece of grass. I only drew the top part. I'm gonna have to be extra careful. Of course, I need to be careful on all of these grass stalks. This is the final inking. So whatever happens here stays. Whether I mess up or whatever, it stays. Luckily, the main feature of this illustration is already done, and he looks pretty good. A little chibi version of Kiba, my black cat, who who I like to draw every year for Halloween, for my Halloween illustration. I think that's partially the reason why I even came up with the idea of doing a Halloween illustration every year, is because of my cat Kiba. Watercolor paper is always a bit of a challenge to ink on, unless you get smooth watercolor paper. I always like the texture of watercolor paper, but that texture also makes inking tough because it's bumpy, so your lines... I realized a good metaphor for it when I was tracing, and it's like trying to steer your car when you're driving down a really bumpy dirt road, and you know where you want to go, but with each bump your wheel is turning in your hand trying to go where it wants to go. And that's kind of how your pen is when you're inking on textured paper like this. You're pulling it in the direction you want it to go, but sometimes the bumpiness of the paper directs the pen elsewhere. But that's also part of the reason why ink is traditional media in general is so fun, because there's parts of it that no matter what, you can't control every little aspect of it. And they do a pretty good job of imitating that in digital art programs, but it's still not quite the same, because if you don't like how something turned out, you can always Control Z and undo. You can always erase it or try something else. That's both a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because if you really mess it up, you don't have to worry. It's a bad thing because you don't get to learn, and it can become an obsession. Undo, 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 and you're just stuck on this part because it's not perfect and you can't move on. Traditional media, physical media, forces you to accept it. Of course, there are even physical media where you've got more leeway. I think that's part of the reason why oil paints are so popular, because you can just paint right over it. I'm trying to see where this rock needs to be. There's no grass. Even though I did a pretty good job this time of transferring the lines, it's still hard because this is just such a congested area. There's so many lines going so many directions. You hear a little crackling noise. That's the sound this nib makes on the paper. It's the sound of the nib point being caught on the paper with each stroke. That line right there, where that grass stalk is bending over. Okay, sweet. There's one little pile of grass done. All I need to do is a rock right here. Okay. I think I want to turn it upside down for this side, so I don't have to put my hand right here. I mostly need to be able to pull the nib down. You have to always work in this direction. So you can turn the pen and go like this, or you can turn it, but you can go like this. Just always needs to move in this direction. Wherever the top of the pen is, you have to move in the opposite direction. That's how these dip pens work. Okay. I need another little, maybe I'll move this, put it right here. Something I didn't mention is that when I went to retrace this, I erased the previous tracings graphite. So I didn't want to get confused if there was a little bit of graphite left and then mixing with the new imprint. Just didn't want to have any chance of confusion. Because at this point, I'm just following the lines. I'm just doing... It's really hard to keep an eye both on the big picture and on the little detail, the single line that you're tracing. So it's important that the traced lines are accurate and not misleading. Or I could end up tracing it in a way that once I step back and look at the whole thing, and I'm like, why did I do that? It's kind of how you can't really look at something that's close by you and also clearly see something that's far away in the distance. It's just how your eyes work, and it's the same when you're working on a piece of art. Hopefully I can ink this pretty quickly, because it's really close to dinner time now. Both for me and for my pets. Me and the whole family, actually. My whole household. But I gotta get this done. I want to finish this entire illustration, this entire painting, in time to order some postcards. I use Vistaprint for my postcards. They're the most cost efficient. And they always give me good quality too, so I want to get my order into Vistaprint in time that hopefully I will receive the cards here and be able to mail them out to my Patreon supporters, my patrons, so that they can receive their rewards, that is to say the postcards, by Halloween. So it's gonna be really tight. I don't know if that'll be able to happen at this point. It's gonna, even if I can get this painting done tomorrow, which is my ideal, my postcards would have to be, I don't know if it'll actually happen. I'm just gonna keep doing what I can though. Can only move forward, can't go back. I wanted to get this done much earlier. I actually started the brainstorming sketches in September, at the beginning of September, in fact. But I underestimated how long it would take for all the other projects that I volunteered myself for. And the other projects had due dates more soon than this one. But I guess what I underestimated was it takes a mental toll working on art. It's not that physically demanding, but mentally it takes a lot. Just physically keeping your eyes focused even. That's actually a mental task. So it's like even once I finished a project, I still needed to take a day just to recoup, kind of. And of course doing Inktober takes an hour or two away every day. But now I know. This is actually the first time I've ever made so much art in a year. I'm just creating and creating. And that's good, but this has been a lot of lessons learned about my, what would you call it? I guess just how long my art takes to create. And how my mind works. I think I've been operating for a long time on the assumption that I can do this project in the morning and this project in the afternoon, and maybe I can work a little bit on this one after that when I, just for an hour or something. It just doesn't work like that. I just need to work on one thing per day. That's how my mind works. I guess it goes hand in hand with something else I've learned about myself, which is like the Pomodoro technique of working. It doesn't really work for me. If you don't know what that technique is, it's just, I think the standard is, it was invented by someone who's trying to study, I think. But I tried to use it for my artwork, and let's see. And I did successfully use it once. The time, what it is where you work for a certain amount of time and then you take a break, and then after every 4 work break, you take an extended break. And the standard times are 20 minutes and 5 minutes, I think. So you work or study or whatever for 20 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break. So one time I actually used this technique successfully for a piece of art that I created, and it actually won first place at the fair. It was my first entry into the fair, and I won first place, so I was really happy. So I tried to use that again, and also tried to adapt it when I found it unsuccessful. I think what I learned is that I actually work best more of a marathoner, I guess. Because even though it worked once for me, when I tried it again, either I'd end up working through the breaks, or I would keep on the break and not come back to work, even though the alarm was going off to say, hey, it's time to come back from your break. And it makes sense to me, actually, because now that I've become a runner, like an athlete runner, and I like to participate in 5K, and started doing 10K races this year. Got one this weekend, actually. I'm just the kind of person who would rather keep going and keep going and keep going, and only stop when it's time to stop for the day, when it's time to stop for good. Because if I'm in the zone and I stop myself just for the sake of forcing myself to take a break, then I'll just completely lose my motivation or my focus. And I realized too that even with the one artwork where the Pomodoro technique worked for me, it still wasn't, I feel like it still wasn't quite the same, because it was still like a marathon. I didn't stop. I think I worked one day for like 8 hours without stopping for food or anything, and we went to the bathroom if I absolutely had to, that kind of thing. So still not quite the same, I don't think. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe that was the original intent. But I just find it easier not to worry about taking a break until I just feel like I gotta take a break or I'm gonna go crazy. And ever since I started operating on that assumption, I've been getting a lot more work done, giving myself huge windows to just keep working non-stop. It's probably not good for my body. It's not good for my back when I sit down for 4 hours straight or something, but I don't know. I feel like I need to find a balance between getting work done and taking care of myself. I think I'm doing pretty good though. Because even though I've been sitting a lot, my back hasn't been hurting as much as it has in the past. Oh gosh, I'm getting kind of confused right here. Okay. These reflected grass stalks with the distortion, the ripples in the water distorting the lines. They're really confusing. This is exactly where I just have to hope that my past self did a good job in tracing the lines, because all I can do is just look at the lines and copy what I see, and I can't really see what the big picture is right now. Ooh, man, okay, this one goes into a triangle shape. Whew. Holding myself really tight on my one shoulder. Trying to be really still so I can get these lines all. My muscles are super tense. This is the bumpiness of the paper. I'm trying to deal with that, and I'm also trying to follow these traced lines as closely as possible. And of course I have to keep dipping my pen so it doesn't run out of ink. Ooh, come on, shoulder. You can do it. Here, I was just talking about how this work it's not too physically tiring. Sometimes there's a certain muscles or something. It's not like when I worked fast food or worked in a grocery store bakery. It's not that kind of physically demanding where you just get home and you crash because you're just, it's so tough or whatever. It's not quite like that, but it's just a different kind. It's a different kind of tough. My arm is like shaking a little bit. I'm trying to hold my muscles really tightly and get as precise a line as possible. Hoo-wee! Okay, I'm gonna do this reflection bubble. I wonder if I should do all of the reflections in this. I think I will. I'm not going to go back to the bigger lines. I'll leave them for the top part. And I think that will add to the it will help make it look even more like it's a reflection on the bottom half. And I can get a little bit of line weight variation out of this pen too. It's just much more subtle. Yeah, I hope I get this done pretty quickly because I'm getting hungry. Getting hungry for dinner. Gonna be having field roast burgers and salads. I'm looking forward to it. I love those field roast burgers. They're a vegetarian burger. Actually, I think they're a vegan burger. They're just so good. It's better than meat. And I'm not just saying that to be like, oh, come on, be a vegetarian. No, I'm not being like that. I'm serious. They are so good. And I've had their other products too, and they're good too, but they're not like, they haven't done with their other products what they've done with their burger. Just so dang good, so delicious. Kind of confused right here. Hopefully it all makes sense in the end. Hopefully it all visually makes sense in the end. Just doing what I can. Do what I can. Okay, let's do, don't come down here. Stay up there. Guess I can put this out of the way for now. Work on this skeleton a little bit. Oh, Monk, welcome! I'm so happy. I'm so happy you could make it. Are you watching on your phone again? I streamed earlier, and I had a couple viewers with me, and one was on PC, and it was fine for her, and the other one was on her phone, and apparently it was all choppy and horrible, and I don't know why the app is doing that. And it sucks because that means there's not really anything I can do about it to make it better. I hope that the stream is looking pretty good for you. Especially since it's a completely different time of day, maybe that'll help. If the sound is working, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Good to see you in my chat. You're on your phone, but you're on Wi-Fi. Oh, good. Does that mean it's coming through all right for you then? I really hope so. I feel so helpless when stuff is going wrong, but it's only on a certain platform or whatever. I wonder if part of the reason why I'm shaking isn't just that I'm holding my muscles tight. I wonder if it's also because I'm hungry. My stomach is telling me, stop, feed me. Stop working on this. Let's go eat a burger. No, stomach, you have to hang in there. We are so close to done. We're like halfway done now. And one more patch of grass, and then I gotta do a skeleton. And just a few more like rocks and stuff. Oh, excellent. I'm happy that it looks and sounds great. Yay! That's a relief. It's always so frustrating when there's technical issues like that. Because all I want to do, I just want to make art and have people around with me and be able to chat with people. So I've always found that more, I don't know if it's maybe because it's a distraction, but even in the past, ooh, good thing I had that, a little drip right there. Even in the past, I would like get on a messenger program just so I could chat with anyone, whoever was online, while I was working on art, because it's somehow easier. Maybe because it's a little bit of a distraction, but not so much that I can't do my work. Whew, it's really hard to see what's supposed to be here. Oh, I get it. That's the line for the back leg. Okay. Come on, hand. Stop shaking so much. My hand is really trembling. Let's do this. Do this. And tomorrow we can paint it and hopefully get postcards made in time to send for Halloween. would also be great if I could, not just for my patrons, but for just friends and stuff, get the cards made in time to send. We send some Halloween greetings to my family on the other side of the state or in California. Little chibi skeleton, so tough. Okay, here's the backbone, and let's see. Little circles here, and a couple of lines, and little circles for the toes, little toe bones. Oh, my hand is just trembling. It's just nice spending time with people. Yes, exactly. It can be so lonely working on art. Whether you're doing it as a professional or you're just doing it as a hobby. Art so often is completed on one's own, and then maybe you meet up with people sometime and share it, or you share it online when you're done or something. But for like 5 years or something, there was an art club that my friend ran. Then I took over it for about a year, and when she couldn't do it anymore, but then it just ended up being me and my sister all the time. Hardly anybody else ever showed up, so in the end I decided to end the club, because if it's just me and my sister, we could just go to my house instead of going to a public place. But when the club was running, when we had like 3 or 4 people meeting up every month, that was so great. Just working on basic art exercises and stuff. I'm glad you still stream. It's too bad I can't. I have so many people I follow, and it just can't always make it. I see the notification on my phone that someone is streaming, and dang it, I've got to go do this. I've got to go, whatever, there's always so much to do. And sometimes I see a notification that someone started streaming right when I'm streaming. I'm like, dang it, I can't watch their stream. There's this cosplayer that cosplay maker and cosplayer, that I started following because she makes really awesome corset type stuff, and I contacted her earlier this year to ask her if, I guess to get a quote for a character that I would love to cosplay. But being an artist myself, I expected that if she could do it, it would be out of my price range. And unfortunately it was. She did offer to take payments in installments, so that's awesome. But I do have other priorities that I'm saving up for. My biggest one is the Tokyo Olympics. I am determined to go, because at one point I said to myself that I'll make the effort to go to the Olympics once they're in Japan again, and then it was only like 2 or 3 years later and they announced it. I'm like, oh, well, here it is. Time to start saving. So I've been saving for a couple years now. I've had some drawbacks and stuff, but I'm at a point where I'm good if I just want to go for like a week. If I keep saving at this rate, I'll be able to do it. So that means no cosplay funds, really. But I would at least like to see her stream. Well, we have similar streaming times right now. Makes sense, since I think she's only a state away from me, so pretty close in time zone. you'll try to catch up on my YouTube vids. Aw, thank you. I've been doing Inktober every day, so there's quite a lot of them. Don't push yourself or anything. This is my Inktober for today. I decided to abandon the prompt for today so that I could get this illustration done. My overall goal is to get one illustration done per month. One really well done, well thought out one like this. Let's see. I think I'm not going to do that line after all. I've traced it twice now. I don't think I'm going to do it. I saw you posted on DeviantArt. I'm pretty sure it was you. You posted another piece on DeviantArt. I've been getting more active there recently. Unfortunately, most of the people I followed abandoned the site. Let's see, I saw something from you recently, and then my friend from high school has been posting his Inktober, so I've been able to see those. This DeviantArt has been, it's hard to be there now. I've been there for like 12 or 13 years, so I really don't want to just up and leave, because it's sort of like an archive of all my work since high school. I joined back in high school, and that was a long time ago. But there's so many like trolls there. There's so much just trash that's not art. It's just people posting images. People post memes, and that's not what this is for. And of course the staff don't do anything about it, so it's the quality of the site as a whole has really gone downhill. So I see why a lot of the people that I've followed have given up and don't really post anything anymore. It's been months since you've posted anything on DA. Yep, seems like that's how it is for most people. So gosh, the last time I saw my friend from high school post anything, feels like it was years. It was probably not that long, but until Inktober started, I feel like I hadn't seen anything from him in a long time. So it's like, it's understandable that everybody I follow has gone away. On the other hand, it's kind of sad because I followed them because they made quality stuff. They didn't post junk. They weren't like these. It's just full of trolls now. Like, I posted recently in the forums because I could not find a way to contact the help desk. They didn't just have like an email address listed at the bottom of the site, or an email address listed in their FAQ or anything. And when I tried to use their actual help form thing, it would just crash. It would crash the whole site every time, no matter what I did. Even if I went to a totally different like help topic, it didn't matter. It would just crash. And so I got on the forums to say, does someone know a way to contact DeviantArt help about this problem that I'm having? And I described the problem. And the first answer I got was not helpful at all. It was just like some jerk telling me that I just need a whatever. I don't know. I don't even remember what they said, but they were basically telling me that I was the problem, not trying to help me with contacting someone. Because, oh, I remember what it was. They sent me a crappy print. That's what it was. And that's why that troll responded. They're like, oh, you're just greedy or something. Like, when I order a print and pay $10, I want it to be at least viewable. But whatever. Now I know just not to go into the forums anymore, because they used to be a nice, helpful place. You could get help with your art, you could share art, and, you know, find artists similar to you, because you'd say, okay, you know, show me your best black and white only piece or something, and now people, they'll just post whatever. They don't even read what the topic is supposed to be, they just post whatever art they want. Oh well. Oh well. Such a shame. Yep, I agree. At least I do still have a few people who post occasionally. I followed one of my favorite fantasy creature artists. I don't know why I never followed her. I think it's a her. I'll just say them just in case. I never followed them before, because whenever I draw a griffin myself, or paint or whatever, whenever I create a piece with a griffin, which is my favorite mythological creature, fantasy creature, I always think of their art. Like, their griffins are so amazing. But for some reason, I was never actually following them. I even had stuff on my DeviantArt wish list from them. You know, from their art shop. Their shop that has their art prints in it. I finally started following them years later. And they post regularly. So that's good. Oh, come on, hand. You can do this. My muscles are like, my hand is just trembling. You can do it. You can do it. Little drip of dry ink. At least it wasn't wet ink. Most people have given up on DA. Yep, I think so. There's still a few here and there. They're just so hard to find. People who still post quality stuff. You love my nested griffin, I did. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you did. That is probably one of the most intense pieces I've ever done. That series of art, which I'm not done with, I've only done 2 of 12, because I'm doing 1 for each month. I'm putting everything I have into those. That's the kind of work I wanna, I mean, not necessarily that style always, but that level of detail and thought, that's what I want to make. That's what I want all my art to be. So I'm really glad you liked it, since that is my best. Though even on that one I still have little mistakes, but that's just how it happens. That's physical media art for you. Keep having to turn the pen. Sometimes I turn the page, sometimes I turn the pen. Almost done. Haha, just this tiny little bit. This tiny little bit, then I can all have dinner. Yay! Have dinner, watch some anime. Go to bed. I'm really proud of myself. I haven't taken a nap today. In the last 2 days, I think, I've succumbed and just so tired I had to take a nap. And then that's more production time lost. Dang it. Man, I gotta wipe this nib off. You made sure to give an in-depth comment on the Instagram post of it. That's true, I remember. I remember you did. I was really, really I was surprised and extremely pleased. That's what I used to love DeviantArt for. That's what I started using it for. I love when people take a little time when they look at my work, because I do appreciate anyone who looks at all, but really special are the people who, like you, take the time to really give it a looking over and notice all the things I worked really hard to put into it and everything. It can start to get disheartening when you spend, say, weeks or even months on a piece of art, and then all you get when you post it online is likes and favorites, but no one says anything. Because it takes half a second to hit the like or the favorite button. Of course, you just always got to be grateful that they even looked at all, because on the internet, there's millions, maybe even billions of artists that people can look at. So I'm still grateful. I'm grateful even for little faves and likes, but I especially cherish when people take the time to do a real good comment. Oh, this is so confusing. This part is so confusing. Why do I do this to myself? It's worth it. It's always worth it. It's always worth it in the end. Couldn't be helped. I watched at least 10 hours worth of the work. That's true. That's true. I never thought of it that way. That is a good point. That's something new to me this year. People being there with me for all the hours I put in. That's really, really amusing. I never thought of that. And I only started streaming in February, I think, of this year. Man, I don't know if it's showing, but my hand is just like quaking. It's quaking. I guess my other hand's shaking too, kind of. Maybe it's because I'm really hungry. It's been a few hours. I've been trying not to talk about being hungry on my streams all the time. I don't know what it is. Streaming always makes me hungry, I guess. That's how I feel. I always appreciate people who swing by to give a real comment. I'm glad I'm not alone in that. That's probably something anybody would appreciate, even if they didn't realize it. I think we all, as human beings, just want to interact with one another. And we want to have positive, good interactions too. It's like, on the one hand, the internet has helped make that easier than ever. On the other hand, it makes negative interactions easier than ever too. So it can be scary. The fear of a negative interaction can trump the desire for positive interaction. That's too bad. I don't like that. There's nothing I can do about it, but other than just try to be nice myself. Can't stop anyone else from being mean, though. Looks like even with this little guard sheet, I still to smudge some of this graphite away. When I came back, you were one of the original followers that returned. You sure were. I was so happy to see you again. I figured out that I'm streaming every day right now for Inktober, but in general I can't handle that responsibility, I guess. Because there's so much else that goes into it too, because I always want to get my recordings up for anyone who wasn't able to catch the stream live. So that means I can't use the internet, because the way YouTube uploads it takes up the whole internet. So I have to wait till it's done, and then I always want to make sure to post about it so that my social media is always active, and that way people know that the recording is available. That takes a little time, and it's just so hard to stream and then also do other art projects. I think that just goes along the lines of what I was saying earlier with I just have a one-track mind, I guess. And once I switch tracks, it's really hard to go back in the same day. Aw, you love my art? Thank you. You're so nice. Thanks for coming back and everything. I probably already said that. I really appreciate you and the other people who have stuck with me and support me in various ways. It's only a handful of you right now, but you guys keep me going. I know some artists like to think that they are somehow above it all or whatever, and they don't need anybody. But I think even with those artists, it's not true. It's just they're either afraid or lazy or, I don't know, traumatized from trying to have a relationship with their audience, I guess. But for me, without the audience, there's no point. There's no point in making visual art if there's no one to look at it. Oh, goodness. Welcome, Carletta. Thank you, Monk, for referring a new viewer. I'm glad you stopped by. Too bad I'm almost done. But you get to see the finished ink work, at least. I had a couple different viewers this morning for the first half of this, and they're not seeing this right now. At least they'll see it on YouTube probably later. Oh my gosh, I think this might be the last line. Here we go. Whee! Then of course I'm gonna put my signature on it now, just so I don't have to worry about it later. Don't have to get my ink stuff out later. Actually, it's the last line, but I think I might do a little bit of hatching here in the pupils and in these dark parts in the skull. I kind of shaded, do a little bit of hatching on my pencil lines. So the inside of the eyes here, just super dark. Mouth, nose cavity, and then maybe some hatching fading up from here. And then yeah, his two pupils. So I'm not entirely done, but I'm done tracing. I'm done with this tracing. I'm done inking the tracing. Oops. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the follow. I will follow you back. Even if you don't stream, it's just my policy. The reflection is your favorite part. Oh, good. I'm happy because I tried really hard on that part. I'm gonna do even more once I put the watercolor on, but I have like 5 different reference images of how reflections look in relatively still water like this, so I could get it right. I really wanted it to look like water. And even in the sketch, it didn't quite, I think the effect is much better on the final version. I wanted to just put these side by side for the camera. So here's it was a graphite sketch, and then I used pen to get it traced onto here. I ended up using 3 different colors of pen. Oh, may as well bring this in too. This is my brainstorming sheet, so here's keep looking at this for reference. So like you see these trees in the background, I'm just going to do that only with watercolor, no ink. Since they're so far in the background, I figure I'll just leave off the ink, and then that'll really make them look farther away. So these are what I've been working from. But now back to this, I need to erase the remnants and any, I'm sure I smudged with my hand, any remaining graphite. I'm just going to do a big one starting in the corner. Another nice thing about doing this tracing style is that the graphite erases off really easy. I think it's because the tracing paper takes a lot of the pressure from the pen or the stylus or whatever you're using to push it onto the final page. So you don't get those indentations in your page, because those end up on the tracing paper instead. Ooh, someone is here. Soon suddenly started barking. Wonder who it is. Based on the time, it could just be my brother getting home from work. Mika's art is to die for. Oh, thank you. I don't know if anyone's ever said that before. You're so sweet. Gotta keep making more nice art for you. Let's see. How's that? I need my brushy. Ah. Yeah. Good thing that I'm pretty much done now, because I'm getting to that point. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, where you work on a piece for so long that you just, it's almost like you literally can't see it anymore. It's like your mind just doesn't want to, can't process. You've just been looking at it and looking at it. It's kind of how I feel right now. Ah, my hands are still, I'm trying to wipe them on my pants. Got a little smudge because my fingers are still graphite-y. This paper was pretty old, and so it's got some marks on it that I couldn't get rid of, and so I can't tell what's smudged graphite and what's just a little bit of stains. What did you share, Monk? I want to know. Oh, you were just talking about that. So yeah, speaking of stains, even though I've got this big, I spilled something. I don't know what. Or I must have spilled something. I don't remember doing it. But this is gonna be, I can't find it. It's gonna be 8 1/4 by 11. So it's like where I've inked is the boundary, and then it's gonna be like from here to here. So that doesn't even matter. The reason why this sheet is this size is that the original sheet is 4 times as big, and I just folded it and then folded it because it's this really super thick, I don't know if you can tell, super thick watercolor paper, 300 pound, so it shouldn't warp, or if it does warp, it should be extremely slight. Anyway, let's get to doing this last little bit of inking that I want to do. Okay, I'm just going to put some hatching into his pupils. It's a technique I learned from one of my how to draw manga books. It makes the pupils more interesting, and then you just put a dark color in there, and then it still looks really dark, but it's more interesting than just a solid black. My laundry is done again. Yep, I'm still doing laundry even this late. I did his nose too. I guess I'll do this inside part of his mouth. Yay. Now, I guess I don't need to turn it over. All I wanted to do was the inside of the mouth on the skeleton. And hatching on this paper, for some reason, is super satisfying. And a nose cavity. Guess I'll do these two. I seem to recall them being pretty dark. Okay. You like that the whiskers don't overlap the face. Ooh, you're always noticing the stuff that I put extra effort into. I did that on purpose. This is based off of my black Manx cat, Kiba. And he is like solid black. So it didn't make sense for me to draw the lines for the whiskers here, but I also made it a point to not touch them to the face because I thought that would be a fun stylization to do. I can't remember what it was, but you notice stuff like that on my February Griffin too. Little things that I think of but that aren't. Like, I'm not going to take the time to describe every single one in my DeviantArt like description of the piece or something like that. I think that's a sign that you're an artist too, because you notice those things. It makes sense. It makes sense that as an artist you'd notice those little details. Hashtag monk cares. I remember I'll try to use that in my post about this when I share the videos. Hashtag monk cares. No context theater also for the tag. Oh, I'm almost done. That means it's almost time for dinner. I'm so excited to have some dinner. Okay, that's this last little curve of the head. Huh? Is that it? Am I done? I'll turn it so that the skeleton is up ways. Yeah, I think just the skull should have hatching in it. I'll bring this hatching a little bit higher. Yeah, I think that's good. Tomorrow I will paint it. My goal is to get it completely painted tomorrow, but since I'm doing watercolor, I don't know if that'll happen, because sometimes you gotta let it dry, and then, you know, you have other responsibilities throughout the day, and you're not able to come back to it. Let me get this kind of straightened out. Oh, okay. I'll call you Jeff then. That makes it easier on me because your name is Jeff on there. It's easier to just read it. Whew, okay, my hands can relax and stop shaking and I can go have some dinner. This is my Inktober for today. Oh, I wanted to sign it. I'll sign it real quick. And tomorrow I'll be back at my normal time. I guess I'll just sign it right on this rock, because I'm going to return to doing my Inktober prompts. Even though I want to finish this piece, I still also have the goal of doing Inktober every day. So I missed yesterday, well, every weekday. I missed yesterday, but it's because I was working on this, so I think it was worth it. You look forward to seeing at least the YouTube video. Yay! I hope you'll enjoy it. Alright, I'm cutting out. Thank you for watching.